NorthAmericanSumo.com.
Hi everyone, this is Dr. Matt C. Howard, and thank you for tuning in to the second interview of NorthAmericanSumo.com. This week we have an interview with Ed Schakowsky. Fans of North American Sumo will certainly recognize this name. Ed has previously medaled at the US Sumo Nationals and the US Sumo Open. He's competed at the World Sumo Championships, and readers of NorthAmericanSumo.com know that he was the first ever gold medalist in the 220-pound division at the US Sumo Nationals, something he accomplished only 2 weeks ago. In this interview, we discuss Ed's journey throughout sumo, from knocking on the door of a gym with a mawashi in hand to traveling to Japan for intensive sumo training. Ed will also be competing at the US Sumo Open on March 23rd, as well as the World Sumo Championships later this year. As Ed mentions in the interview, most of the costs associated with competing in Worlds comes out of the pocket of the athletes. So if you want to support North American Sumo, please check out the link below to purchase a shirt and support Ed. As always, please check out our contact page on NorthAmericanSumo.com if you have any interview requests or comments. And I hope you enjoy listening. Thank you very much. Before competing in sumo for several years now, what sports did you do beforehand, maybe high school, maybe college, or any other rec sports? So what type of athletic stuff did you do before you entered the world of sumo?
I wrestled, I played football. I wrestled and played football in high school. I kept wrestling in college. It's just a club team, though, nothing too serious. Did a little bit of boxing and, tried out other sports like that. But I don't really focus too much on other sports in sumo. I think a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on the wrestling experience or their judo experience, but I tend to just, think about sumo and try to do good sumo. I tend to think that good sumo beats good wrestling, or good sumo beats good judo when it comes to the sport of sumo.
That makes sense. Where'd you go to college at, by the way?
I went to Lafayette College in Pennsylvania.
Okay, nice. Yeah, lots of wrestling up there in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what weight class were you when you're doing high school and college wrestling?
Oh man, I was light. I was like 170.
Oh wow, nice. Yeah, that's on the lighter side. So you wrestled in high school, college, played football. What was your position in football?
I was a fullback.
Okay. How much similarities do you see between playing football fullback and sumo wrestling?
I don't see too many similarities. I mean, I think it's similar in that you have that kind of quick, sudden burst, and then the play is over. But I think sumo requires a lot more flexibility, a lot more control. You can't really just lay into somebody in an uncontrolled way the way you sort of can when you're playing fullback. Coming through the hole as a lead blocker. It's a little bit more, I think, a complex sport, and of course, being an individual sport, that adds a whole other psychological element to it that makes it a fun challenge.
Yeah. Would you mind talking a little bit more about the psychological part?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the tough things is, like, when you think about it in comparison to football or wrestling, it's pretty easy in wrestling to give up that first takedown and wrestle your way back and win. Or in football, you give up the first touchdown, you play your way back and you win. But in sumo, you've got 8 seconds and that match is over. And, there's only a few major tournaments a year. So it's a real challenge psychologically to put yourself in that right headspace for that 8 seconds. As soon as your hands touch, you got to be ready to go, and you can't afford to make mistakes because it happens that quick and it's over.
Oh yeah, and that makes sense. How much do you think about the competitor you're going against? Do you make a game plan for each one, or do you have your game plan that you go with most of the time?
No, I pretty much go with my game plan most of the time. I mean, if a guy looks real kind of small and quick, maybe I'll be a little more reluctant going in. If he looks big and he's going to come forward and I know what I'm getting, maybe I'll try to hit a little bit harder. But no, I don't think too much about my opponents. If you look at tape with me, I don't even look my opponents in the eye, really. I just try to bring my focus inward and think about my own sumo and the way I want to approach the match, and that's it. So no, I don't really game plan too much. I don't really think about the other guy. You start to get to know some guys' tendencies if you've gone against them multiple times, but no, I try to keep the focus on me and just doing what I want to do.
And that makes sense. And one thing when I was interviewing Justin Kizert, he talked a little bit about I guess getting psyched out for certain competitions and getting for him, he sounded like personally he got a little bit nervous when it came to like the Open because it was such a big competition. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I don't know if the word is nervous. I don't think I get nervous, but it's a challenge to have yourself in that sweet spot, kind of psychologically. You want to be fired up, but you don't want to be out of control. Finding that sort of mental control and being in that headspace at the start of the match, that's definitely a challenge. But no, I don't really find it too nerve-wracking. I think when I first got into sumo, this goes back about 6 years. My first tournament was the Open, and it was pretty big even back then. I mean, maybe 2,000 people there. And I wasn't taking the sport that seriously at the time. I was just trying it out. It was kind of my first dive into it. So no, I never got too nervous, and by the time I really started to care about sumo later on that year, in kind of late 2013, I don't think nerves really were a factor. I was kind of used to it, kind of comfortable with it.
So that makes sense. So you did high school wrestling, high school football, college sports. You even did a little bit of boxing, you said. So how did you make the transition into sumo? What made you interested in it in the first place?
Oh, man. I actually had a children's book when I was a young kid about sumo. And when I was little. I don't even know what the book was. But it talked about this kid wanting to become a sumo wrestler and how he trains. And as he gets bigger, it said stuff like when he stomped his feet, the whole earth shook. And when he cracked his knuckles, they sounded like tree trunks. And there was something about that just stood out to me. I just liked that idea of becoming this force of nature. And then there was actually the 1997 Natsu Basho, which they called the Summer Basho on TV. They put it on. It might have been ESPN, the Wide World of Sports, and Akebono and Takanohana went to this playoff match, and I think Akebono wins, but man, Takanohana, the little guy, puts up a fight. It was kind of David and Goliath story. And I saw that. I was probably 9 years old, or just about to be 10 years old, watching that. And I was kind of hooked. Every time I could watch sumo or see sumo after that, I was into it.
I like the story about the kids' book. That's really neat.
Yeah, and I don't know where I got it from. My parents weren't into sumo or anything, but I just have this memory of having this book.
Nice. So you had this interest. How did you first find a sumo gym or anywhere to even train and find out more about how to do sumo?
Yeah, well, for a long time I was just a fan. I didn't think that there was even a way to do sumo. So, and this is back kind of in the days before YouTube, but there was an online stream, so I'd stay up all night on a Saturday to watch the final day of a basho. If there was going to be a competitive match and there'd be some live stream online. But it wasn't until after college that I started thinking about maybe trying to do it. When I was in college, there was a club in Cranford, New Jersey, with Yone, who really was instrumental, I think, in bringing sumo to the U.S. and kind of growing the sport here in the early days of the federation. But by the time I got out of college, they had shut down, so I didn't really have a chance to go and train with them regularly ever. So I did what I think all people should do if you're interested in sumo. I just found a gym where a judo guy, this is Mark Lawrence, he was offering basically private lessons in judo, and I signed up for that. The first day I showed up, I brought him a washi. I didn't even know how to tie it, and I said, hey, instead of judo, why don't we try sumo? And we sort of started learning the sport together. Later on that year, I went to Japan to train there, and that's kind of where I picked up my first basic understanding of what the sport was all about. A couple weeks of training there. Sort of the rest is history. Just picking up little bits, traveling around, talking to as many people as I can, and meeting Mark, and now we have a couple more guys. Ryan White's a pretty regular guy in our club. We've just been training ever since.
That's awesome. And Brian was at Nationals, right? He did really good. He medaled, right?
Yeah, it was great. It was his first national medal. I was really happy for him. It was great. And he's really come alive in practice.
Oh, good. That's awesome. And he's so y'all are in Jersey, right?
Yeah, we're in Jersey.
What part of Jersey?
Like North Jersey, Morris County.
Okay.
Madison is the name of the town if anybody wants to try it out.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense. I'll have to put that in the post. You said Madison, New Jersey?
Madison. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because running the website, I have people contact me at least once a month looking for sumo gyms, and I'll have to remember Jersey because I know of the California one. There's one now in Georgia, so I'll have to remember Jersey. A lot of people from Florida want to do sumo, so I need to find a Florida gym.
Yeah, well, you got Cornelius over in Panama City.
Yeah.
That's a little bit far from a lot of other Floridians.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah, there's one I sent to Cornelius. I don't know if the person ever contacted him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, so tell me a little bit about your trip to Japan. So that sounds extremely intense. Can you walk through it a little bit?
Yeah. So that was really my first year. So, my first experience trying it out, I went to 2013 US Open, and I got murdered there. And I didn't really think about continuing to go to more competitions until I got a little more practice. And so managed to set up a trip to Japan. Me, another guy, Will, and Colton Runyon, who was living over there at the time, we basically were able to, through the Federation, set up some training with Nihon University over there.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so we went over there, we lived and stayed with the wrestlers for a couple of weeks and trained with them every day and kind of just followed their training routine.
That's incredible. Do they still do that type of thing?
Yeah, they still do that type of thing. I always I want to encourage people to try it out, but I also want to warn people against it. It's not like a fun Japanese vacation. And it's not necessarily easy, and it's, especially if you're a smaller guy, it's really tough. If you don't have a little weight on you, they don't tend to have like a ton of lightweights for you to wrestle with, so
okay.
It can be a challenge. It can definitely be the grind, and also I think understanding the language and a little bit of the culture helps a lot. That can go a long way.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are still opportunities to do it. If you get in touch with the USSF, they can try to set something up.
That's incredible. I had no idea that type of thing existed at all. Was anyone that you were with, were y'all able to speak Japanese?
Well, I didn't know any Japanese at that point. Now I know just enough to be able to, get around, order a meal, find a subway, that kind of thing.
Right.
But at the time, I didn't know anything. But luckily, Colton Runyon is fluent in Japanese, and so he was able to kind of help us out and also show us some of the cultural norms that we probably would have missed.
Was there any in particular that you thought were interesting?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, the whole time I'm there, I just feel like I'm too rude, it's tough. It's tough being an American over there. There's a lot that I find interesting. It's great though. I mean, I've enjoyed my time in Japan. I've been back twice since then. Once to train again, and once just on my honeymoon. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy it, but it's definitely a challenge, kind of navigating the landscape there culturally.
So you mentioned a little bit before about you did the Open, you were just testing the waters, and I think you said you didn't do too well. So how well did you do at that first Open?
Oh man, off the top of my head, I think I went like 2-4. I mean,
okay.
Real bad though. No quality wins, nothing. The one thing I did do that wasn't so bad, I wrestled Brody Henderson.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they went to Monterey. We had a rematch, but I'm telling you, I beat him, and I've got the photo evidence to prove it. The one sort of nice thing I did is an inexperienced version of me kind of almost beat an inexperienced version of Brody.
Nice.
But aside from that, no, I just got beat pretty bad.
Oh, and how long ago was that?
Oh man, this is back in 2013.
Okay, gotcha. And one question is, did you ever talk to Brody while he was in Japan or came back from Japan?
Yeah, I've spoken to Brody since then, actually. He's been super helpful, just in, giving me some training tips and things like that.
Because that's one thing that running the website, I get people contact. That's the most frequent thing I get contacted about is questions about Brody. So that's an interview that I would love to have one day.
Get in touch with him. He's a nice guy.
Okay, I might. I'll send you an email after this to possibly get his contact information. Because, like I said, people they want to know the story. Tons of people want to know that story. So I would love to get it out there. So after the Open, you continue training. Was there any moment in there that you felt like you really I don't know, started really clicking things started really going well with your sumo training that you really started to develop, or was it just a gradual climb?
It was a little bit of a gradual climb, but I think after that first trip, things really started to come together a little bit. I was a little more successful at the 2014 Open. I went home with a bronze medal, in spite of the fact that I actually broke my hands pretty badly in 2 places in my very first match of the day.
Oh, good Lord. How'd you do that?
How'd I break my hands?
Yeah.
I wrestled Zana, a Mongolian wrestler.
Okay.
And he kind of caught me, slapped me down, and as my hand hit the mat, it just broke.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
I wish it was more of a cool story, but that's how it was. But, in spite of that broken hand, managed to take home a bronze medal. And, I've definitely had ups and downs, but, I think after that year, I felt like things have been coming together more and more for me.
And that makes sense. So right now you always compete extremely well in the middleweight division. Who in that division, let's start at nationals. Who in the middleweight division do you really, I guess, think about competing against? Who do you focus on the most when you go to nationals?
I'll tell you the truth, man. I don't think about anybody. Think about that middleweight division, it would be Kenna, but I don't think about Kenna. I don't think about anybody. I just think about doing my own sumo, and that's it.
Nice, and I assume that's the same answer for the Open?
And yeah, it's the same answer for the Open. I don't think about my opponents at all. I just try to, knock that out of my head, and I just try to do the same sumo no matter who I'm facing.
Okay, that makes sense. How often do you interact with the other competitors outside of nationals in the Open?
I try to stay in touch with guys. Some guys tend to stay in contact with each other a lot more than me. But again, that's a pretty good community, when it comes to advice or anything like that, or, finding rides, coordinating transport. People tend to stay in close contact, and it's good that way. And of course, the guys in my club, I talk to them twice a week at practice and all the time.
So your gym does twice a week sumo?
Yeah, we do sumo on Thursday and Tuesday. So every Tuesday and Thursday. Oh,
nice, very nice. That's a lot more than most competitors, I would assume, are able to practice. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, it seems to be that way. But again, all it takes is one guy. I showed up, and luckily Mark Lawrence was willing to kind of take a leap and try it out with me. I think for him and me, of course for me and for him as well, even though he started out as a judo guy, I think sumo has really become his main sport, his main focus now. I think it's the kind of thing that anybody can do. You just got to find that one guy in your city to train with, grow a club from there.
Oh, yeah, and I would definitely agree with that. That I feel like sumo has a more open door policy than a lot of other, I guess you would call them combat sports, martial arts. That I feel like that, anyone should feel comfortable practicing sumo, whereas I could see people being wary of things like jiu-jitsu, even judo. I would completely agree with that.
There's like a simplicity to the rules of sumo. I mean, the game itself is really complex in the end, but it's the kind of thing like you can pick up and you can start practicing it in just a minute. You don't need to understand very much to start. To really master it, though, would take your whole lifetime. But anybody can start.
Oh yeah, exactly. Completely agreed. So in your career so far, you've medaled at nationals, you've medaled at opens, you've competed at worlds. Do you have a particular moment that you would say is your proudest, best sumo moment? Let's start with moment, sumo accomplishment. Let's put it that way. Do you have a favorite sumo accomplishment?
I try not to think too much about past accomplishments. I don't even like to keep my medals. I would throw them all away if my wife's going to make me. I try to just focus on, the next thing I'm going to be doing. I'm kind of grateful that she made me keep some of them because now I have like a little collection. But I really try not to focus too much on past accomplishments. If I had to pick, I don't know, maybe just representing the U.S. On the world team in Taiwan this year.
Oh, yeah.
Looking forward to doing it again in Hawaii.
Yeah, which once again, congrats on finishing first at nationals. So tell me about your trip to Taiwan. How was that experience representing Team USA?
It was good. We had a a good group of people. I mean, a great women's team, which is rare that you have a strong women's team coming from the U.S. So that's a big step in the right direction. And it was a good competition. Personally, I didn't do so well there. You know, I think there's a couple things I want to work out for next time. A couple just little changes in my mental preparation that I want to figure out before Oahu. But I think I'll be ready to go. And I also think this weight class will serve me a lot better. I think middleweight's a little big for me, but the 100-kilo class will be ideal.
I don't know how much you've read the website, but every time I've talked about you competing in that weight class, to me it almost seems, I'm saying this jokingly, but it almost seems unfair because, I mean, I feel like you have heavyweight power in the light middleweight or whatever the name of the new weight class is, in a light middleweight body. So how much weight do you typically have to cut to reach that limit?
To make the 100-kilo limit?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Well, let's see. I was probably back up to about 240 the day of the competition. So
oh, good Lord.
About 15, 20 pounds in the final week or two.
That's intense.
I'm going to try to make it a little bit easier on myself. I think I can get down quite a bit more. So for the US Open, it'll be a little bit of an easier cut. Hopefully I'll only get back up to about 230. And by the time Hawaii rolls around, I'll probably be in about the same position. So it's going to get easier and easier for me as I keep doing it.
And that makes sense. That makes complete sense. And related to that, I meant to bring this up earlier. So you have to do a lot of travel to go to these competitions. Is all of it self-funded? And for people that might not know, do you ever get awards or any money for winning these competitions, or how does all that work?
Yeah, so a lot of what we do is self-funded. We do get travel stipends for the World. So if you win the U.S. Open, there's some medals. There's some money to be taken home. And if you make the World team, you get a small travel stipend from the Federation. But I mean, some years that stipend has been as low as like $200. So it's not a whole ton of money. And so raising funds is always a bit of a struggle. We just kind of have learned to make sumo our vacation. So wherever we're going for sumo, that's our vacation for the year.
Nice. So do you have any particular fundraisers that y'all found to be effective?
Yeah, actually, right now I've got some T-shirts on sale, and you can check out the Real Sumo Ed at Instagram. So it's at the Real Sumo Ed at Instagram. The link's in the bio there, and so we're selling this T-shirt for the next couple of weeks, and that's sort of a fundraiser to get me the Worlds in 2019.
Very nice. You said that's at the Real Sumo Ed on Instagram?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, and I'll be sure to put that in the text of the post and a link to the shirt. So, because I've always wondered about that. It seems like it's so much money involved with having to travel to Kansas City for Nationals, California for Open, and then around the world for Worlds. So,
yeah, it's true, but I can't imagine what else I want to spend my money on.
Nice.
It's all been worth it.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. Your wife, she competes, correct?
A little bit here and there, yes.
Did she get into it because of you, or was she already into sumo?
Oh, no. She just got into it because of me.
Okay, nice. Very nice.
It took a little bit of convincing, but she's been a great sport. She's super supportive. Yeah.
So, do you have a particular favorite sumo match that you've done?
Oh man, favorite sumo match of mine. No, I don't know. I like I said. Sorry, I know it sounds like a boring answer.
Oh no, you're good.
I don't think too much about the past. I just think about the next match coming up. So no, I don't think I really have a favorite match. I'm just thinking about that next match, that next tournament. I'm thinking about Worlds this year, and that's it.
Yeah, and that actually segues nice to my next question. Is what do you see as your next big sumo goal that you want to accomplish?
I want to win Worlds. That's the only thing that's really on my mind. So more immediately, it'd be nice to make some noise with the US Open. I'd like to win the US Open for the first time in this new weight class. And I'd like to go on to win Worlds.
We'll be watching to cheer you on for that. Another question I have for you is you're in a leadership position for the United States Sumo Federation. What's that like? What type of stuff do you have to do? And what type of stuff does the United States Sumo Federation do for United States Sumo?
Oh, man. Well, it's a lot of work taking on a role in the Federation. But it's great. It's really a privilege, I think, to continue on what people before me have done. It's kind of crazy. If you look back at pictures of, let's say, the US Open, maybe 10, not even 8 years ago, it's a whole different game. I mean, it's really grown so much. US Open and US Sumo Federation and our own national tournament. The sport's just been growing and growing. And so it's nice to be able to take what people before me have done and run with it. And we have a lot more at our disposal now. So I've been in charge of putting together the website. And we're working on, in addition to that, all kinds of fundraisers. We did an event for the Women's Sports Foundation, sort of a sumo demo.
Oh, interesting.
Back in the fall, and we just secured a $5,000 grant from the Women's Sports Foundation to help grow women's sumo in the U.S. And so those are the types of things we do with the Federation. We're just trying to keep growing the sport, let more people know that there's a lot of ways to get involved, and just show them that the opportunity is there.
Nice. So for people who might be listening to this, what would you recommend as the way to get involved with United States Sumo?
Well, first send an email. Or contact us through the website. There's submission forms on the website. And, let us know that you're interested in your area. We can try to hook you up with people near you who are either interested in sumo or actively running a club. And if there's no one near you, if you're in one of those spots where you just can't find someone to train with, go out and take the initiative on your own. Like I said, when I started, there wasn't any sumo in New Jersey. Young Ed Jim had stopped doing sumo, and there was really nowhere for me to go. So I just found one person, and that's all it takes. You just got to find that one person to train with, and there's a whole federation of people out there that are willing to help give you advice, whether it's over Facebook or over text or sending videos back and forth. There's people that can help you learn, so you just have to find that one person to train with, and you'll be able to get started.
There's Nationals Open, there's a Georgia Sumo Open, there's all those events in Texas. Are there any sumo events in the Northeast?
So we're actually hosting Nationals in New Jersey or New York next year.
Oh, are you really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that'll be, it just got announced, actually, Nationals back in St. Joseph, Missouri. So coming up it's going to be the last week of February. I think it's like February 28th of 2020. We'll be hosting Nationals in New York, possibly, or New Jersey. And assuming that goes well, I think we're going to try to turn that into a regular Northeast tournament, something that we do every year, whether we're hosting Nationals or not.
Yeah, that would be awesome, because that's one thing that I've been thinking about as a spectator, is, you have the Open in California, you have Texas tournaments, you have the Georgia Sumo Open. The Northeast really needed something like that, so that's wonderful. That's really going to grow fans up there, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think practice is a lot more important, too, than just showing up at a tournament and getting a couple of matches.
Mm-hmm.
And so another thing, I'm going to be hosting a clinic in New Jersey, hopefully over Memorial Day weekend. So we'll be doing a clinic kind of like the one that was down in New Orleans recently. And I think the more people do that, the better for the sport.
Oh, without a doubt. And yeah, please let me know when all that stuff is decided, and I will put that on the website. That would be wonderful to advertise.
Yeah, absolutely.
One or two last questions I have for you. Who is your favorite professional rikishi who's currently competing today?
Currently competing? Oh, man, that's tough. I was a big Harlem Fuji guy. I like Taka Keisho's style a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I like that pushing style that he's doing. I like the fact that he's making it work in spite of the fact that he's a shorter guy.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I might say Taka Keisho is the guy who's got me excited right now. I think he's going to probably be the next Ozeki. Although I think the Takayumi is probably the next guy in line to actually jump over Taka Keisho, make Ozeki, and then go on to become Yokozuna. I think Takayumi has probably the most perfect, beautiful sumo right now among the young guys coming up.
And that's something you don't see too much in amateur sumo, at least in America, is you don't see too much of that thrusting attack.
No, you don't see much of it, yeah.
Yeah, so I would love to see an amateur sumo competitor start incorporating that more. That would be really fun to watch. One last question I have for you is if people do want to participate in a sumo club, sumo gym, they want to go somewhere, how do they get the gear? How do they get the equipment? So how would you get a sumo mat, and how would you get your mawashi?
Oh man, I could send you a link that you can put up on your site to get both the mawashi and the sumo mat.
Okay, that'd be wonderful.
The mat itself, the dojo, is extremely expensive. So I think most people are probably content with just using a rope or something like that to mark the edge of the ring.
Okay.
Of course, you don't get the benefit of learning to play off of the Tawara, but every time you do get a chance to get in a ring with real Tawara, you can test it out and kind of get that feel. That tends to be the best approach for most people. And then for Mawashi, I'll send you a link where people can go to access them. I do know that the IFS was talking recently about trying to get some Mawashi up on Amazon. They were talking about that.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That'd be nice if they did that.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful, because that's a question I get sometimes too, is people, have a friend or two, they want to compete, they just have no idea where to get it from. So that'd be extremely helpful. I would appreciate that personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions I had, so thank you so much for the interview. I extremely appreciate it. Thank you for spending the time to talk to me, answer the questions, so thank you.
You got it. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, and good luck in the future competitions. I hope that maybe we'll be able to do an interview again someday, maybe after you win gold at Worlds this year, so good luck with that.
Sounds good, man. Let's do it.
And that's all for the interview with Ed Schakowsky. So thank you for listening. Like I said on the last interview, I don't have anything I sell, so I don't have anything to plug right now. Just make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to this channel, and most importantly, make sure you check out the stuff that Ed was mentioning, particularly the shirt that he's selling. It would be wonderful if you could buy a shirt, maybe we could sell a few of them, and we could help fund his trip to the Sumo World Championships. So until next time, until the next interview, which I'm hoping might just be a week away, maybe 2 weeks, we'll see what happens, but I'll talk to you next time. Thank you for listening.